think about business ownership, you have some options. It's either going to be a startup, an existing mom and pop business, and then there's franchising. If you look at the state of small business in America, the statistics show that out of every business opened, all the businesses every year, 80% of them are going to fail in the first 5 years. And then of the remaining businesses, the next 5 years, 80% of those fail. So if the first 5 years don't kill you, the second 5 surely will, which is why franchising is so attractive. Franchising is a method of distribution of products and services. And you as an owner get the opportunity to invest with franchisors and purchase the rights and license to operate that business under their trademark, their logo, and operating systems, and be able to take advantage of all the benefits of franchise ownership. Professionals are attracted to franchise ownership because what they found is they're trading their time for money. There's only so much time, and there's only so much money you can charge per hour. Owning a franchise provides the ultimate leverage. If you have a business that can operate without you having to be there every single day and every single hour, you could leverage your time and leverage your capital. I recently placed 2 NFL players into a franchise that were retiring. Franchise ownership was their next chapter. And what I realized with professional athletes and professional anything is that their indoctrination and training had taught them to follow standard operating procedures. They followed a formula for success, and that's why franchisors love them, because they understand that following a recipe will result in the objective that they're looking for. Not just professional athletes, physicians, lawyers, accountants, anybody in the professional arena, the training and education they went through has set them up for success as achievers in franchise ownership. Don't reinvent the wheel. The purpose of buying a franchise is that somebody's already figured it out. You're buying the rights and license to a business that's been duplicated and replicated and has been proven to work. People approach me all the time and say, why should I pay for a franchise? I can do that myself. And I tell them, you probably make a better hamburger than McDonald's, but do you want to compete against them? 85% of the matches that I make on a yearly basis, the investor winds up in a franchise that either A, they were unfamiliar with, and or B, an industry that they never saw themselves in. People tend to think they need to go into what they are familiar with. They're familiar with the industry they came from. If you're burned out, like most people that are coming to me looking at franchises, going into an industry you're familiar with is a recipe for disaster. You heard the term, familiarity breeds contempt. That's what will happen if you go into the industry only because you have experience in it. As a matter of fact, most franchises do not expect you to have industry knowledge or experience. And as counterintuitive as that sounds, it's the reality. They would prefer that you knew nothing and you were a blank slate. Because with experience and knowledge in an industry also comes bad habits and beliefs that might not serve you any longer. What you need to have to own a franchise are fundamental business skills and acumen, marketing, sales, operations, finance, and you don't need to know all of those at a level 10. Purchasing a franchise is very similar to purchasing a home. With a home, you have a down payment of non-borrowed funds and then a mortgage as your loan. With a franchise, there'll be liquid capital injection requirements of non-borrowed funds, the same as a down payment, but instead of a mortgage, you're going to have a business loan or note. Most business financing is done through the Small Business Administration. It's a very attractive program that the government backs banks on that loan. The interest rates are historically low. You're looking at a 10-year note. Most franchise operating agreements are 10-year agreements, so those terms align well. The SBA program requires that you come in with no more than 30% of that total project in your own liquid capital injection, and you can leverage the 70% through financing. Most people approach this in a hybrid manner. You're not going to come in all cash because leveraging is smart and money's cheap right now. You're also not going to borrow all of it because you need to have skin in the game. So there are many tools and vehicles that you can use to help fund and finance your franchise investment. Many people think franchising is multi-millions of dollars like a McDonald's. That's not the case. Franchises can be as low as $50,000 up to well over $1 million. There are a lot of variables that will impact how much that investment's going to be. Certainly if it involves real estate, brick and mortar, there's going to be additional costs. than if it's a home-based business. If it involves lots of employees, if it involves lots of advertising and marketing, many variables, as I shared with you, will dictate what that's going to look like. So people approach me, they want to know the different types of franchises because they're interested in possibly owning a franchise while they're employed. And I share with them, franchise models come in 3 different buckets. First bucket I call owner-operator models. You are the business. It's the man in the van model in many cases. Your plumber decides to jump ship from a plumbing company and buy a Roto-Rooter, and he wants to go out and service customers all day. And he's happy, doesn't care to build an enterprise, and there's no problem with that. There are plenty of options in that category. On the other end of the spectrum are models I call executive models, and I call them that because these are the types of models that executives want to own because they're not going to leave their career to own the franchise. They're going to continue doing what they're doing. This is purely an investment strategy for diversification of their portfolio. Where most franchises exist is this middle bucket. This middle bucket, semi-passive ownership. You are involved day to day. Initially, you'll be heavily involved in the business. You're the leader. Your staff looks to you for direction, but you're loving what you're doing. You want to be involved. You're someone who doesn't feel comfortable setting it and forgetting it. As the business matures and grows, you can come in late, you can leave early, you can go on vacation, and the business will still be operating. I think that's the desire of most business owners in and out of franchising, is that you have a business that's not dependent upon you being there. Otherwise, you bought yourself a job. Distinguishing a successful franchise from a failing one is rather simple. The opportunity lies in validation. The ability to speak with owners already in that franchise as part of your due diligence is a critical where the rubber meets the road. Speaking with owners at 3 levels of performance, top performers, middle performers, and bottom performers, will yield a tremendous amount of information in determining whether you're making the right decision or not. I'll provide you a list of questions to ask franchisees that will help you determine whether those responses should have you running for the hills or running for the finish line. I provide resources and tools at each step of the due diligence process that helps you maximize that stage. Every I gets dotted, every T gets crossed. A very methodical, efficient, and streamlined approach in exploring franchise ownership.